Today we're going to preview number 5, Oklahoma versus UCLA. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. I'm joined by my best friend Ron, who has chosen to go by Big Ron here. He is heard and not seen. What?
Hey, guys.
What else do you got? No? You like that? You want to do it again?
No, it's perfect.
Sure.
I love it.
You look.
It's my favorite.
Okay. Now that we have the sarcasm dripping from this here preview, I want to get to some more sarcasm. Los Angeles Times columnist wrote a lead following UCLA's loss to San Diego State. It is their first loss ever to San Diego State. They've been playing that rivalry since 1922. They played it 22 times. UCLA was unbeaten. And then, not only did they lose, the Aztecs went into the Rose Bowl and got a W. To which columnists wrote the lead, Chip Bleepin' Kelly, which kind of fits into the narrative and the overall theme of this week, which is Chip Kelly, not a good football coach. And I want to get into that at length, but there are a couple of stats that I want to point to just get us off and running. In 2 games, UCLA has scored 28 points. Oklahoma scored 28 points in the third quarter against South Dakota. Okay. In 2 games, UCLA has recorded 28 first downs. In the game against South Dakota, Oklahoma recorded 28 first downs. You're sensing a theme here, huh, Ron?
Yeah. In 2 games, UCLA has scored 28 points. How many first downs did OU have?
28.
Man, that is. I don't think you should have as many first downs as other teams have points. I say you shouldn't, but this is Chip Kelly's UCLA.
Oh, man. And it's so bad. Like, it's historically bad. All right, so let's start with the first game, Cincy. They were actually picked to win that game. Or, no, Cincy was picked, I think, by 2. Whatever the spread was, I picked Cincy. And I was right to pick Cincy because they covered. Point there is, you're on the road. You know, Cincy's one of the 2 teams picked to win the American this year. They play stout defense. Luke Fickell is a defensive coach. He was defensive coordinator at Ohio State for Urban Meyer. Dude knows how to coach defense. And people are like, okay, cool. Chip Kelly in year 2, maybe he's got something going. Maybe he figures it out. No. In that game, Dorian Thompson-Robinson managed to fumble with his offhand, which I got to tell you, some kind of trick. Okay? So they lose that game. Cool. Whatever. Fine. Cincy's a good team, or so we think. And then Ohio State blanks Cincy. 42-0. So now that loss to Cincinnati looks remarkably bad. And almost worse than the loss to San Diego State. So now, for the first time in UCLA football history in 76 years, UCLA begins season 0-2. Remember what I was saying? Historically bad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, historically bad.
Doesn't bode well.
Man, this game is at 7 o'clock on Fox. This is the big Fox game.
Don't miss it.
Man.
Watch OU. I don't want to get the spoilers.
That was it. I mean, we can go there. Because, basically just going to go through, we did this already once, and you'll never see it. But, we did it right the first time.
Peep the lost tapes.
There's a few of those where never. So, Mark Maron tells this great story about his podcast, right? So, he was doing his podcast with Stephen Colbert, late night with
That's
Stephen
exactly
Colbert?
what it is.
Okay, whatever. Point is, he was freaking out because he wasn't using his recording equipment to record the interview. And he's like, are they recording this? And he's like, yeah, they're recording this. Hey, guys, can you tell Mark that you're recording this? Because he's going to flip out. It's like, yeah, man, it's fine. We got the computers going. It's okay. And it's like, are you okay? He's like, no, I'm not okay. I lost 2 Hodgmans. Ooh. He lost 2 John Hodgmans. Ooh. So what do you got to feel if you're John Hodgman? He lost 2 John Hodgmans. All right. Now that I ventured off into those woods, Oklahoma ranks number 3 in team efficiency. That's offensive and defensive. 1 is LSU, who played Georgia Southern and then Texas. 2 is Washington State, who played New Mexico State and Northern Colorado. And, of course, Oklahoma played Houston, South Dakota. Okay, you can talk about 2 games. You can talk about FCS opponent, whatever. At 107 is UCLA, sandwiched between Marshall, just in front of him, and Rice, just behind him. UCLA, bad at football.
You know how you said that Chip Kelly's a bad coach? I don't think I've ever seen a fall exactly like this, because wasn't very long ago that we said Chip Kelly, good coach.
Decade?
Feels like yesterday. He still carries that reputation. That's why we clown on him so hard.
The children today were first graders.
Children,
They don't know. And you know what? Because they don't know, they don't care. So as much as we want to hold up, you know what I feel like this is?
What's that?
I feel like this is when people were trying to hold up Bob Davie to me at Notre Dame. It's like, what? I don't care.
Well, no, I think
The dude at New Mexico?
I think you even have a closer example that's like very near to home. Is that, man, Mike Stoops? That guy, he's gonna give him a second. So just a little bit of time.
Chip Kelly is in the Mike
maybe.
Stoops zone. Mike Stoops zone is a very, very cool place to be, unless you're that person, because you get to watch, or you're me calling for somebody to be fired. Check the tapes. So Chip Kelly brought to UCLA at a time when he had his pick between UCLA and Florida. So Florida, you could have these problems too. Say thank you and move along, because Chip Kelly took the UCLA job and everybody thought, cool, Chip Kelly's offense worked at Philly. Yeah, he got fired, but it works. So he's going to come back to college after saying he was never coming back to college. And he's going to get it going because he knows the West Coast. He knows the Pac-12. It'll be fine. Like Mike Stoops coming back to Oklahoma. Except one, Brent Venables was already at Oklahoma. And the problem with having two defense coordinators is you can only have one dude calling plays. And as much as Brent Venables wanted to say, look, it had nothing to do with OU. I just had a better opportunity at Clemson. Yeah, okay. You know, national championships while you're here, though, bro. Okay. We'll get up off that. Point is, Chip Kelly gets to UCLA. Is supposed to be, he's supposed to do what Jim Mora couldn't do. And Jim Mora gets to be an analyst for ESPN going, ha! Y'all dump me for this chump? Because I'm looking at it, and these are chump results, right? They're really, really, really bad. Now, before I get into how bad they are, I do want to mention, for those of you that probably know and probably wanted me to mention, Roy Manning coached outside linebackers at UCLA. He coaches corners at Oklahoma now. So you got to believe Lincoln Riley's going up to Roy Manning going, yo, man, tell me everything I need to know. Tell me what I don't know. But it ain't like, one, Lincoln Riley needs Roy Manning's help. And two, it ain't like Lincoln Riley didn't, beat UCLA like they stole something last year. And they're not nearly as good as they were last year this year, which is another thing that I want to get into. But to round that out, Roy Manning's got the book on the defense. And the defense is the better half of the football team right now. And he coached the best player on the defense in Chris Barnes. And then before that, Jalen Phillips, who transferred to Miami. So Roy Manning is going to give you the keys. And Lincoln Riley might beat them worse than what he beat them before in the Rose Bowl. Now, before I go into that deeper, do you believe in the whole, hey, the coach that was there last year knows something? Because clearly Lincoln Riley does. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried to let, Austin Kendall play this year at West Virginia, even though West Virginia sucks.
Oh, no. I absolutely believe that you gain an intel advantage by having the guy that was there last year. But that'll only take you so far.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Personnel matters. To that point, in the team talent composite, UCLA ranks number 22, which is really high, considering that they rank number 67th in 2020 recruiting right now, and 8th in a 12-team league, Pac-12 in recruiting. They're really, really bad in the Chip Kelly era. How do I know this? Because they were ranked 40th last year.
They're a team with a whole bunch of bodies, but not a whole lot of stars.
And a bunch of bodies that he didn't recruit. Bud Elliott gave this note, and I'm going to give it to you now because he wrote about it in February, and I just went and found it. UCLA offered 40 blue chippers. Okay? That's 4 and 5-star recruits. There were 47 in the state of California, 2019 class. Washington ended up with 8 of those. Oregon ended up with 7 of those. UCLA ends up with 1. Chip Kelly is 1 for 40. And he doesn't really offer a whole lot else. Because for whatever reason, Chip Kelly doesn't believe that he needs to recruit.
Chip Kelly believes in himself.
And coaches who believe in themselves are dangerous. Ask Mike Stoops. It's the Mike Stoops zone. I'm telling you. All right. So, moving right along here. Talked about Chris Barnes a little bit, but I think we should go into the defense as it stands with Chris Barnes.
Right. So the defense for UCLA is actually not very bad. Actually, I say that they are above average. The team is on the field a lot because of the Chip Kelly woes and their lack of offensive talent, but they're actually a pretty solid ball club. The only problem is that they're relatively small, and there's not a lot of talent surrounding their best player, who I think is Chris Barnes, who is a workhorse. I think he's really good, but if he's the only one that you need to key on, you can do that, and there's nobody else to pick up the slack.
Right, because watching film, you're like, none of these DBs can match up with the wide receivers at Oklahoma, and then it's like, all they do is give up big plays, and this is big play university, more than it's quarterback university. If you really think about it, like what OU does is pick up chunk yardage. Like you'll look at the amount of plays run by a team, and it used to be Oklahoma would be 80s, sometimes even 90s, right? Because they get it off a lot, and they would, get to the line and go. Now that number's closer to like 63 or even 60 in some cases, because you'll have 8-play drives that go 90 yards. You'll have 10-play drives that go 76 yards. It's not hard for them to just score and score quickly. The opening scoring possession for OU in 2019 took 40 seconds, which is the length of an NFL play clock. So, if you're UCLA and you know you're bad at giving up big plays, what do you do to try to stop giving up big plays?
I'm sure that they have an answer for you. The Chip Kelly staff could definitely tell you how they would stop in a perfect world on X's and O's on paper OU, and I would probably agree with them. They don't have the talent to do it.
Yeesh. And that's what we get back to. Okay, let me roll through some statistics right quick.
Please do.
So, I know that people really don't like ESPN, but the ESPN Football Power Index is actually a really good predictor of who's going to win and who's going to lose. It's like 5th or 6th among predictors. I would tell you who 1 through 5 is, but you got Google for that. So, they give UCLA a 20% chance of winning this game against Oklahoma. So there is a chance if you want that. But also, while we're on the stats, UCLA averages 239.5 yards per game. Oklahoma, 709.5 yards per game.
That's a disparity.
Oklahoma averages 332 yards rushing per game, which again is nearly 100 more yards than UCLA picks up all game long. Jalen Hurts, over in the season, 34-41, 591 yards, 6 TDs. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, starting quarterback, UCLA, 32 of 61 for 355 yards with 3 TDs and 2 picks. So 20 fewer attempts and 2 more completions for Jalen Hurts and all the yardage. Jalen Hurts would also be the leading rusher twice over for UCLA. 24 carries, 223 yards, 3 TDs. The leading rusher at UCLA has still not cracked 100 yards for the season. That'd be Demetric Felton. 33 carries, 99 yards. Okay.
And
Go ahead.
To add to that, he is the leading rusher, but I would not say that he is the best rusher that they have on the team.
Right. I want to get to him. I also just want to throw this in here. Oklahoma averages 59.5 points per game through 2. UCLA averages 14. To your point, Josh Kelly is the best offensive weapon that UCLA possesses. Josh Kelly didn't play against Cincy. Maybe because he was hurt. Maybe because he pissed Chip Kelly off. Either way, he played a little bit against San Diego State. Wasn't very good. 3.5 yards per carry after averaging 5.5 on the season. But it gets better. UCLA has lost 6 of its last 7 dating back to last season. The last victory it had was against USC. Okay? In that game, Dorian Thompson-Robinson did not play, and Josh Kelly rushed for 289 yards. So, goes with saying, Josh Kelly probably needs to carry the rock a lot if UCLA is going to have an opportunity to beat Oklahoma.
And that kind of goes into the idea of when we talk about what UCLA can do to win, we're really talking about a whole bunch of what ifs. What if Chip Kelly turns back time? What if he can do a great impression of what he did a decade ago. And, you don't need a great quarterback to run his system, but if you have a good running back, which technically they do, they could cause some problems. But we have the same problem issue is that their receivers and their leading rushers are doing very good impressions of nobodies.
Which is kind of the point of the season, really, up until Texas. You're just not going to get tested. It's just the way the schedule's made out. Everybody thought Houston might have been good because you looked at Houston in 2016 and you were like, man, that team was really good. Houston ain't Houston. UCLA, when you took this game, Jim Mora had won 10 games. You thought UCLA was going to be good. Now you got Texas Tech and Kansas to follow before you get to Texas. And that's the only real test to date on the schedule. I think Oklahoma State's actually going to cause some problems the more that I watch them play. But I do want to tell you, if you are a UCLA fan or if you're just looking for a stat that really matters that UCLA is ahead on, I'm going to tell you that one. But first, I want to tell you about mybookie.com.
Tell them.
So, MyBookie is a service. And when I need a line, like offshore betting line, because I can't find a line like in the States, I go to MyBookie. MyBookie is the place that I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's proven. Well, let me do that again. I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's proven. That's why MyBookie is always the right play. You bet, you win, they pay. MyBookie lets you bet on which college coaches will get fired, who will make the college football playoff and the Heisman Trophy. You can even bet on halftime lines, live odds, or FBS versus FCS games. I locked in the line at South Dakota at 36.5. You're welcome. Up to $1,000 of your first deposit bonus. You can double your first deposit. So if you put $1,000 in there, they'll give you $1,000 in credit, which is pretty cool. Use the promo code RJ to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie, MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code RJ. My name, RJ, no periods. And do that when you're creating your account to claim the bonus. Bet, win, get paid. MyBookie. Appreciate them. The stat that you want to focus on, if you're UCLA or if you're OU, is actually points allowed, right? Oklahoma's giving up 22.5 points a game. UCLA is giving up 23.5 points a game. All right. So that's the stat that matters. What the scoreboards say. We can throw all these advanced metrics at you, and I can tell you about charted games. I can tell you how far down the field Jalen Hurts is throwing passes, but what it comes down to is points scored.
To add to that, UCLA is giving up 23.5 points a game while only having the time of possession at 20 minutes per game. So that defense is on the field the entire time and has only given up so many points. If for some reason they are able to win the time of possession or gain some sort of advantage, it could possibly go in their favor.
100%. So you'd have to play the game like Army played Oklahoma in 2018. I don't think UCLA can do that because Dorian Thompson-Robinson isn't half the quarterback that Kelvin Hopkins is. Even though Dorian Thompson-Robinson came out of Bishop Gorman. Bishop Gorman won a national championship. He followed up Tate Martell. Now we get to talk about how Bishop Gorman quarterbacks are overrated, and I don't think that's a fair discussion, but these two certainly are. Just keeps going. It keeps getting worse with the stats, right? I really can keep rolling through it. But if it almost feels like piling on at this point, because what good has UCLA done since Chip Kelly has taken over as the man at UCLA? Because it's a bad thing for me when head coaches are the stars of the program. Now, you could make an argument that Lincoln Riley is a star at Oklahoma, but he's got 2 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks and 2 number 1 overall picks. And yeah, you want to talk about Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray a little bit more than you want to talk about Lincoln Riley in most cases. At UCLA, what else is there to talk about other than Chip Kelly and how piss poor his football team is?
And this is weird because you talk about Chip Kelly, he is he is UCLA. They're not doing enough in any one area for us to talk about anything else other than will Chip Kelly get it together?
Okay, so let's play this game. The list is Jeremy Pruitt, Willie Taggart, and your boy Chip. Mm-hmm. Who gets fired first?
Jeremy Pruitt, because Tennessee is a garbage fire and the best comedy on the planet.
I love Jeremy Pruitt's pressers because he is football guy up there talking about, we're making errors that you just can't make. And he called the team soft.
Whoa.
But he called the team soft last week and he called the team soft in the spring.
Oh, so man, it might just be true.
Also,
might not be bulletin board material, guys.
Myself and I was part of the 34% of folks that picked BYU to beat Tennessee because I watched the film. And so me and the Latter-day Saints, all in on this. Now, I needed overtime to do it, but...
You're telling me that a team went into Rocky Top caffeine-free and beat that squad? Wow.
All right, so in all seriousness, it was my favorite part of the game when you had a defensive lineman for BYU pick up a dude's loose shoe and toss it. And then the Tennessee player went like this, why did you do that? And it used to be Tennessee was doing the tossing of the shoe, especially inside kneeling. That's actually bad. You started the season 0-2 at home. Willie Taggart at least say he got a win, even though it took a missed extra point to do it against ULM. Ugh. Chip Kelly, though, I don't think they got the alumni base to care. And I say that because Oklahoma had 82,000 people show up to this South Dakota game, FCS opponent. I know because I was there, right? In the stadium for this. Also, I can read, statistics like anybody else who wants to read game notes. So, don't want to make it sound like you got to be there, but I'm looking with my eyes. UCLA's reported attendance, 36,951 in the Rose Bowl for a home opener. It looked like less than that, but even so, that's less than half of the folks that showed up to watch Oklahoma play a bad FCS team. So, where there might be a fire, like at Tennessee, or even at Florida State, definitely at Oklahoma, there's probably not that much of any kind of fire. In Los Angeles, with this team, we care more about USC than we do UCLA, and yet UCLA beat USC last year.
Right.
And they can't turn that into capital.
I think that's the thing that keeps Chip Kelly in his job until the end of the season, unless for some reason he goes to an absolute over for the rest of the season, is that unlike Taggart or, say, Manny Diaz at Miami or Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee, is that there is an old Chip Kelly. There is that squad that could go in and beat USC, and if that squad can go in and beat USC, it could potentially beat somebody else. And if for some reason he's able to run out some victories along the way, he's not gonna get one of those. You don't need to board the bus. We chartered you a flight home.
He's not gonna get the Lane Kiffin.
No, don't think so.
For those of you that don't remember, Lane Kiffin got fired 20 yards off the tarmac in a very small building by Pat Hayden after a loss to Arizona State. They didn't even let the man go to the office to pick up his stuff. They delivered the stuff to his house. That's how bad it went at USC. College football is bizarre and awesome and weird, and stuff happens.
It's terrible, and I love it.
So with Chip Kelly, I don't think that an OU loss is the nail in the coffin for him. But I do think that Michael Madsen just came out with the shovel, threw it to the little man, and the little man has started to dig. And by the time they got to play Arizona, he's going to be in that coffin. And he's going to have to do a Beatrix Kiddo to get out. And I don't think he's got the fist.
Chip Kelly has a story that's attached to him. And he can't continue to be bad at the thing that he is classically good at.
Was the Montana Tech coach you sent me, Bob Green? Mm-hmm. My wife told me, she don't want to go to church with me because she only goes with winners.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's
he is good.
Yeah, I need to do something about him. Do you have anything else you want? Oh, I had something I want to add because fun with statistics. Okay, check this out. UCLA has rushed the ball 68 times, 124 yards total. 68 rushes, 124 yards total. Just take a look at that Jalen Hurts stat. He's run the ball 24 times, or nearly a third of the times. Nearly double the total, 223 yards rushing. I just want to throw that in there to pile on because, well, I did this work, and now you have to receive this work. Now, do you have anything else you want to add?
I have a small thing, especially for the people that are local in Oklahoma and Green Country area. The National Endowment for the Arts is under constant attack all the time. So you really have to go and vote with your dollars and go actually see these shows. So I wanted to say that the Children's Theater of Tulsa is throwing on a stage adaptation of the Spanish classic Y tu Mama Tambien. So I would love for people to show up and watch these kids give it all they have for this Spanish language classic.
Is this your internship?
Might be.
Which class?
Doesn't matter. Show up, have fun, support the kids who will be on the screen and stage in the future.
Free ad. All right. Deuces.